Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. I want you guys to look at Jerry from a different perspective, right? We always look at Jerry like this bumbling idiot, this guy that can't do anything right, this useless guy that, pathetic, like dud, waste of space. But let's actually think about why we think that, right? Let's actually appreciate the fact that this man goes through quite a significant amount of trauma in his own household consistently. He's completely mistreated, completely disrespected, disregarded, and he showcased very little to no love. He's always the butt of everybody's jokes. He has no real power in his own home. He wants to be the lead, but nobody will allow him to take charge. Nobody trusts him to take charge. Nobody will even give him a chance to do that. So of course he ends up revolting and doing these random weird things and being more of an idiot because it seems like that's the only way he can get any attention from his kids, his wife, or Rick. His whole family looks down upon him. So of course he could come across as an annoying character and somebody that's, like stupid or whatever, but how would you feel if your own family treated you how terribly Jerry is treated? And that's what I want to discuss in this video because I think we always look at the perspective of like all these other characters like Rick, Morty, and Beth, but what about Jerry? I know he's not a somebody that a lot of people really love, but I actually always found him one of the most intriguing characters because of this role. The fact that he gets so disrespected and he's always the butt of every joke. It's almost like, why? What is the narrative importance of a character like that? He's hardly there just for laughs. Because I don't think any one character in Rick and Morty, any major character is really there just for laughs, right? So let's talk about it. You see, from the very beginning of the series, Jerry's inferiority complex and mental health issues take center stage, right? Jerry, he's not just a quintessential pathetic dad archetype, dud archetype. He embodies a character wrestling with profound feelings of inadequacy, emotional dependency, and a fragile sense of self-worth. Throughout the series, his journey is one of mental instability, revealing a character who is both comedic and tragic. You see, from season 1 all the way up to some of the most recent seasons, Jerry's arc explores the complexities of his mental battles, inferiority complex, and strained relationships. To truly understand Jerry's role in Rick and Morty, we must dig into his psyche, examining how his self-perception and relationships evolve, while also exploring the subtle and major changes in his character from season 4 to 7. Okay? From the very beginning of the story, right? He's clearly out of place in a family full of dominant personalities. Rick, super genius scientist, Beth, confident, emotionally distant mother, and even his children, Summer and Morty, right? Summer is always like, she can take lead, she can take charge, she can replace Morty when going missions with Rick, all of these things. And what is Jerry left with, right? Beth goes on trips with Rick. All of these people have so many cool moments, but you can count very few moments in the whole series where Jerry shines, and I mean truly shines and stands as the one that really did it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's continue. Jerry clings to the traditional notion of being the head of the household, right? Summer and Morty both exhibit more agency than he does, right? So in reality, he feels powerless, especially in the presence of Rick. The early seasons emphasize his desperation to feel useful and validated, which is continually undermined by Rick's intellectual superiority and Beth's dissatisfaction with the marriage. Beth, goddamn Beth, right? The not weird, it actually makes sense, but the crazy thing about Beth, right, and why, we see Jerry as this bumbling loser idiot, Beth mistreats Jerry, okay? Not on purpose, I don't think, because Beth loves Jerry, right? But the thing is, let's face the facts here. Rick abandoned Beth. Now we know why he did it, right? He still abandoned Beth, okay? Guess who was there? Jerry. When they had kids, everything, Jerry was there. Her shoulder to cry on, emotional support, husband, right? I'm not saying he's sensational at any of these things, but he was there. He tried. But guess who Bet gives all the credit to? Guess who Bet idolizes? Guess who Bet looks up to? Guess who Bet wants attention from? Her dad, Rick. How would you feel if that was your wife, your kids, your father-in-law, everybody treating you like shit, and you just there, and you try to love everybody and show love, and you try your best. Yes, you're not freaking amazing at it, but you try. And in return, all you get is disrespect. And I want you guys to really think about that. If you were in Jerry's position, would you leave Bet? Or would you stay? Because he has, I would say, unconditional love for Bet, essentially. I don't think Bet has unconditional love for Jerry. To a degree, she does, because she has stayed through a guy that was essentially broke. Not the most mentally stable, but I feel like the mental stability went down the drain when Rick came back into their lives. I feel like they were probably a lot happier before Rick, but I think they also needed Rick to see some certain parts of reality about the relationship, about everything, and even about themselves. Now, this feeling of inferiority is exasperated, oh man, I'm done with these big ass words. Inferiority is this feeling of inferiority is highlighted by Jerry's inability to maintain a job, his lack of ambition, and his emotional dependence on his family for self-esteem. At the heart of Jerry's struggle is his deep seated belief that he's unworthy of love, particularly Beth, and that he's failing as a father. His self-loathing and resentment toward Rick, who frequently belittles him, right, provides much of the tension in the early season. Later on, in particular in season 3, we explore these dynamics where Jerry and Beth separate, placing Jerry in an unfamiliar position. Without his family as an emotional crutch, Jerry's feelings of inadequacy and desperation intensify. In episodes like The Whirly Dirly Conspiracy, Jerry's animosity towards Rick comes to a head, yet it's rooted less in his hatred for Rick and more in his self-hatred. He resents Rick for exposing his weaknesses and for being everything Jerry isn't capable of, right? He's not as capable as Rick. He's not as independent as Rick, and he's not apologetically himself like Rick is, right? In season 4 through 7, there's a subtle importance evolution, right? It marks a subtle importance evolution in Jerry's character. While Jerry's still this insecure, often bumbling character, we know these seasons offer moments of self-awareness and growth, where Jerry begins to question his role in the family and his relationship with himself. See, in season 4, Jerry starts to exhibit a greater sense of independence. Though this progress remains shaky and inconsistent, the episode Claw and Horror Special Rickdom's Morty is a significant turning point for Jerry. Here, he attempts to assert himself by training a dragon and achieving something without Rick's help. However, as usual, his attempts at autonomy end in disaster, reinforcing his sense of inadequacy. It almost feels like the whole universe itself is against this man succeeding by himself or doing anything or standing out. He just has to be mediocre or below average at everything. Why do the writers keep doing this to him? Right? What is the message behind this? Right? But let's give him some credit. He's super freaking resilient, because through all of this, he always stands. Through all of this, he tries to smile. Through all of this, he keeps going. How many of us have felt inadequate, not enough, an imposter syndrome, right? Surrounded by people that will feel like, damn, how are these people here with me right now? How many people have been belittled by those that they love or care about? A lot of kids probably felt that way by their parents, right? This is how Jerry feels too. And I think it's important that we discuss these things about these characters. Despite these setbacks, Jerry shows signs of becoming more comfortable with who he is, even if that means embracing his flaws. See, in the Vat of Acid episode, for example, we see Jerry actively choosing not to engage in Rick's dangerous schemes. He's had enough. While his refusal is played for laughs, it also hints at Jerry's growing self-awareness. He knows his limitation and is starting to accept them rather than constantly striving for unattainable approval. He knows, like, God damn, if I go, it's going to be a disaster. I'm going to get hurt. Everybody's going to laugh at me. I'm going to be the butt of jokes. Why am I going? Okay? In season 5 and 6, we build on this idea, with Jerry occasionally stepping out of his usual role as the family's punching bag. The episode Reconvenient Mort is an example of Jerry finding a kindred spirit in Beth, where both share a rare moment of emotional vulnerability and connection. Of course, this shit is fleeting. It highlights Jerry's ability to reflect on his own emotional needs and recognize when he's being dismissed or disrespected. This growing emotional maturity is evident again in Rick Vangelian episode, where Jerry unexpectedly embraces a leadership role within a dysfunctional family collective. It's a moment where Jerry's persistent and survival instinct, long overshadowed by his insecurities, begin to finally freaking shine through. Goddamn it, give Jerry some love. Give Jerry some goddamn love. By the time we reach season 6, Jerry's character undergoes perhaps his most significant growth. Episodes like Night Family showcase his emotional resilience in ways we hadn't even seen before. In this episode, Jerry is the only one who in the family who genuinely engages with and enjoys his Night Jerry counterpart, because he's always willing to listen, he's willing to understand, he's willing to try. And I think that's what sets him apart with everybody else. He's always willing to try and put effort. While the rest of the family battles their nocturnal selves, it's a testament to Jerry's capacity for adaptation and his growing comfort in his own skin, as well as his empathy. While he may still be regarded as the least capable member of the family, his emotional intelligence and persistence provide him with a strength I think the others lack. In season 7, the progression deepens, right? And in the episode Bethic Twinstink, Jerry's back into focus by exploring his complicated dynamic with Beth. When Beth has an affair with her clone, Jerry's response is shockingly mature. While the situation is played for its absurdity, Jerry's willingness to participate in therapy and work through the emotional fallout of the affair shows his growth as a person and as a partner. Would Beth do the same for Jerry? And we know Beth does a lot for Jerry. I'm not going to pretend like Beth does not showcase love for Jerry. She absolutely does. But at the end of the day, she still mistreats and disrespects, not intentionally, I don't think, for the most part. And I think invalidates Jerry. He makes him feel worthless. She does not shower him with love frequently. Right? She doesn't praise him frequently. He feels like he has to chase for any crumb of genuine appreciation from Beth, his kids, and Rick. Now, this whole situation where, he about the emotional fallout of the affair, which shows, who he is as a person and a partner, it's a far cry from the emotionally dependent, self-pitying Jerry from the earlier seasons. And we know Jerry loves to self-pity, man. God damn, bro. He throws himself a pity party every goddamn week. But he eventually develops a sense of agency in his relationship, willing to face difficult emotional truths rather than wallowing in self-loathing. If that was season 1, Jerry, he would just walk around sad, ashamed, and depressed, like, damn, Beth chose another version of herself over me. I must really be pathetic. Right? That's what early Jerry was all about. That damn, my kids prefer to spend time with Rick. I must be pathetic. While Jerry still faces moments of humiliation and inadequacy, I think that's kind of the point he's made for laughs, right? These later seasons still position him as a character who, in his own way, is learning to embrace his weaknesses. His insecurities remain part of his identity, but he begins to navigate them with more self-awareness and surprising resilience as well as maturity. At the core of Jerry's character remains his love for Beth and her children. His devotion to his family is one of his few unwavering traits. Even though that devotion is often clouded by his insecurities, his relationship with Beth evolves over time, shifting from one of codependence to one where he tries and occasionally succeeds in asserting himself. Jerry's love for Beth is genuine, but it is often tied to his need for validation. In earlier seasons, he clings to her, terrified of losing the one person who gives his life meaning. He never knew he could get such a beautiful woman. He never knew he could get somebody like Beth. That's the dream girl. How do I keep something that seems unattainable, but I have it? Yet, in the more recent season, Jerry's relationship with Beth takes a new dimension. He starts to recognize that he too deserves respect and begins to confront the power imbalance between them. Though this is often short-lived, but he now attempts to make a balance. His role as a father is another complicated aspect of Jerry's character. You see, with someone we see moments of genuine connection, but his insecurities prevent him from fully embracing the father-daughter dynamic in relationship. Morty, on the other hand, becomes more and more distant as he grows closer to Rick. And we know that Rick and Morty are like a tandem, right? Jerry's fear of being replaced by Rick is a recurring theme, and it's not one that it's not unfounded, right? And it feeds his resentment. However, in the later season, Jerry's efforts to bond with his children reflect his growing sense of responsibility. He realizes that, damn it, I must actually try harder. I must actually put myself in a situation where they want to spend time with me. Though he may not always succeed, and he's made to not always succeed, he's made to fail, but his love for them drives him to keep trying, even in the face of absolute failure. Jerry serves as a counterbalance to Rick's unrelenting cynicism and intellectual superiority. While Rick represents worldview governed by nihilism and detachment, Jerry embodies the everyday struggles of insecurity, inadequacy, and emotional neediness. He is the everyman of the series, constantly trying, even though often failing, to navigate the chaos around him. As the show progresses, Jerry's role becomes less about comic relief and more about grounding the show in relatable human struggles. His mental health battles include inferiority complex and evolving relationship with his family, make him one of the most emotionally complex characters in the series and one of my personal favorites. See, his journey, while often subtle and overshadowed by the grander arcs of other characters, reflects the very real battle between self-doubt and self-acceptance. Jerry may never be as brilliant or as brave as Rick, but his resilience, love for his family, and growing self awareness make him a quietly compelling figure within the chaos of the multiverse. But in fact, I'm actually going to take that statement back. Jerry's far braver than Rick is. He may not be brave when it comes to emotional things, right? Rick is unafraid because he's the most powerful man in the universe. But when their family is on the line, Jerry becomes extremely brave and willing. In fact, all these characters do, right? And Rick is somewhat, I'm not going to say to blame, but he's somewhat the spark that caused this with them, in a sense. And I think he lit a fire under Jerry to try and be somebody worthy of Beth. In a universe where nothing truly matters, Jerry's constant striving for love, respect, and self worth offers a meditation on the everyday human condition, the search for meaning in a world that often feels meaningless. He's just a guy that wants to be loved, he's just a guy that wants to be accepted. Who doesn't? Subscribe!